Lower back spasms can kind of come out of nowhere and pretty significantly affect your quality of life for a few days to a few weeks. Today, we're going to talk about a couple of things that we can do to try to help those first 48 hours of a lower back muscle spasm. First thing we want to talk about is why it's happening. Often, there's nothing actually really structurally wrong or damaged. It can kind of come out of nowhere. It can be a slight change in activity. Most people don't really know why it happened, and that's okay. Usually what's happening is a overreaction of your nervous system to some sort of threat that your body has identified. So your body will go into this protective spasm to stop you from moving, essentially. And it often does a very, very good job, and almost too good of a job, where you really aren't able to move at all. So this is just the body's natural kind of response to some sort of threat, to some injury, or even something that may not exactly be an injury, or could be just like a threat to an injury or a potential injury. So I like to use the analogy of a car alarm to explain why this happens. There are some cars where you can whack into, you can kick a soccer ball into, you can try to jam the door open and the alarm won't go off, right? It's pretty stable. And then there's other cars where you barely brush your arm against and the alarm goes off like crazy. When we're in this state of a low back spasm with our nervous system being super jacked up, that second car alarm that's you right now. Your nervous system is just overreacting to what could be even just like a very slight threat, or just a little brush against the door. The overall prognosis for a low back spasm is quite varied. It can last from 48 hours to a few weeks. Again, we're just going to focus on that first 48 hours where things are very, very acute. There are three main things that we want to tackle. Number one is to reduce the sympathetic nervous system. So try to relax the body as best as we can. Number two is to activate the muscles that are opposite to the lower back muscles. So we're talking about the abs, obliques, diaphragm, glutes. We try to take advantage of a principle called reciprocal inhibition, where we activate the opposite muscle to relax the lower back muscles. And then number three is to start to gain movement again. Often this is in extension. So lower back extension is quite limited because we will be stuck forward. When our back is locked up like this, we really need to get into that extension. So to tone down the nervous system, we can start with belly breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. We're activating the diaphragm, which is our main respiratory muscle, and it allows the body, the whole body, to relax. This will hopefully also decrease the tone of the muscles in the lower back. You can do this on your back or stomach. You may be stuck in one of these positions, so use whichever one is more convenient for you. If you're on your back, put your legs up on a chair or a couch, or you can just bend your knees and have your feet flat on the ground. Inhale deep through your nose, and as you do, draw the breath down into your belly. Expand your belly all the way around in a 360-degree cylinder. Exhale through your mouth and let all the air out. As you do this, try to limit how much your rib cage rises up towards your head. Your ribs will expand naturally, but we just don't want it to be too excessive. If you're on your stomach face down, you can just rest your head on your hands like this. Inhale again through your belly. And this is a good way because you'll have good feedback with the ground. So basically, we just want to focus on pushing our belly into the ground as we breathe in. And then same thing, exhale long through your mouth and let all the breath out. Second thing we want to do is activate the abs and obliques and glutes. These muscles oppose those lower back muscles, and again, using that principle of reciprocal inhibition, trying to relax the lower back muscles. So first thing we can do is lie on your back, put your legs up on something again so that your hips and knees are bent about 90 degrees. And we're going to create some pressure in the abdomen by drawing the breath into our belly and pushing out as we do this. So you should feel like you're bracing, almost like for a punch. If someone were to punch you in the stomach, you'd be bracing against that. If this pressure increases the low back pain, create as much pressure as you can without aggravating your back too much. From here, we can move into like a dead bug variation. So while holding this pressure in our abdomen and holding that tension in the muscles, extend your opposite leg and arm out at the same time. From your back, we can also do a max crunch. So this is a really good way to activate the abs. So you're going to put your arms up towards the ceiling, lift your head and just the top of your shoulder blades just barely off the ground. And then you're going to contract your abs as hard as you can. The harder you contract, the more effective it will be. Hold this for like 30 to 60 seconds, pretty much as long as you can. Next thing you can do is a max plank. Again, if you're on your stomach, this might be easier for you to get into. So on your elbows and on your knees or your feet, whichever you're able to do, put your palms flat on the ground, and you're going to push your arms and your palms into the ground as hard as you can. You're going to squeeze your abs as hard as you can. You're going to squeeze your butt as hard as you can, and then you're going to squeeze your quads as hard as you can by pulling your kneecaps up. And again, hold this position for as long as you can, 30 to 60 seconds. You can also do this exact same thing against a wall in standing. So just put your hands and your forearms against the wall. Same thing, push into the wall as hard as you can, squeeze your abs as hard as you can, squeeze your glutes, and then squeeze your quads. A wall sit is very effective as well. So slide down the wall into a squat with your back flat against the wall. From here, you can create some pressure in your abdomen like you did before, like you're bracing for a punch. And again, just hold this position for as long as you can. So here we're trying to activate our glutes and our quads and our abs. Finally, we need to add some movement into the lower back. Try to increase the range of motion through these exercises, but don't push too aggressively into pain. If lying on your back, we can do some pelvic tilting. So you're going to lift your lower back off the ground and then flatten it back onto the ground and just repeat that motion. This is a small range of motion, so it is usually quite tolerable for most people. We can also advance this into a standing position, so you can support your hands on a bench or against the wall and do the same thing, just trying to add some movement into the lower back. Often with a low back spasm or a locked back, we need to regain extension, which is bending backwards. So on the ground, you can try lying on your elbows and just allowing your hips and your lower back to relax and trying to get into that extension. If this is feeling good and you want to increase the stretch, you can come up onto your hands and push yourself up into what we call a prone press up. We can also do these same stretches against a wall. So you can put your elbows or hands on the wall with your feet a couple of feet away from the wall and allow your hips to just drop forward. You can hold this stretch position or you can move back and forth into it. Other pain management strategies such as over-the-counter medications, bracing, ice, heat, topical rubs, things like that are also good options. And my general rule of thumb is to use whatever that you are accustomed to or has helped you in the past. There's not really a one solution fix all here. Hopefully this video gives you some things to work on in those first 48 hours or so of a low back spasm. This shouldn't really be a long-term fix, and it won't be a long-term fix for most people. I always recommend you go see your chiropractor, physiotherapist, massage therapist, doctor, whoever you trust for further follow-up and necessary assessments and treatments and stuff like that. I hope this video helped. If it helped you, please help me by sharing it with any friends or family that may be experiencing low back spasms as well.